Or maybe not. 1 sec. Wants me to. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Dash podcast. This is episode 139. I am Mark Mason and I'm joined by my fellow co-host and amigo, Joel Valenzuela. How's it going, Joel?
I'm caffeinating, so of course, very well.
Excellent. And joining us this Friday for this special edition of the podcast is Michelle O'Connor from Uphold, who is the VP of Communications and Community for Uphold. Welcome to the podcast, Michelle.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's Friday.
Yeah, it's great to finally meet you. We've communicated a lot in the past. Obviously, Dash has a very special relationship with Uphold. We have a very special strategic partnership, as we call it. So I think it's really good for the community to see you and talk about a bit more what's going on with Uphold, and we can learn more about you and what you do, because one of the main things within Dash communities, we often talk about outreach, and especially when it comes to marketing, it's a very divisive issue, because marketing in cryptocurrency is a very unique, and I think for an exchange as well with your target audiences, I think there's things that we can learn from each other. But anyway, let's just learn a bit more about you. So my understanding is you've been at Uphold for over 4 years now, is that correct?
Yeah. Since August of 2015. So
excellent.
Since we were a bit reserved, quite a while.
Wow. So you handle like all the marketing, but your community as well. So when you say community, do you have like chat groups and stuff? Can you just elaborate on that?
Sure. So I've been here since 2014. So, it feels like quite a while. And I work across our communications, community, and marketing. So community is defined to me as it's the basis of kind of everything we do and our motivation. And if you follow us on Twitter, which is where we're most active, we really listen to what our users want. If there are issues, if there are problems, if there's a support problem, if there's a currency they want, if there's a feature they want, people are really vocal with us, and we also poll pretty often as well. And it's kind of funny because, we use Slack, as most people do now, and there's a social channel for Slack, and everyone at the company watches it. And that even from JP, our CEO, Robin, our CRO, who's talked to Dash community quite often, if an issue comes up, they see it, and we're all working to address it. So we're very invested in that part of who we consider our community. And I'm actually going to be rolling out a private community platform, because I've found that places like Facebook and Twitter and they all have these rules. Because we're in crypto, they have additional rules that I have my own opinion on, but we're limited in what we can discuss and limited in what we can have a two-way conversation with our community. So that should be coming, hopefully, if I can get it buttoned up, bow on, and launched probably by April. And that would be a place to have conversations, work with ambassadors, have live streams, webcasts, and things where we can really kind of be closer when we're not physically.
Excellent. Yeah, one of the really unique things about Uphold as an exchange, and just as a disclaimer, I use Uphold sometimes to liquidate my block rewards and etc. But and I like it. But Uphold has a very unique interface with the cards and breaks down. Yeah. But even more unique, I think, about Uphold, which I really like, what other exchanges would do, is that Uphold actually has a transparency report page, which I believe you update every month. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Because I really wish more exchanges did this.
Sure. So the transparency page is actually updated in real time. So anytime you go to that page, it reflects our holdings, our obligations, what currencies are moving and where, the real-time pricing. And essentially, when we are founded, we're based on the idea of transparency, and it's something that we stay true to. We're fully reserved, which is a concept that people don't understand until they understand it. And in a sense, if you go to your bank now, if you have $1,000 in your bank is lending that money out and making money on your money. So if there's a run on the banks that have happened in countries where there's, volatility, there's question about their currency, the currency suddenly devalued. If everyone at once were to go to the bank, the money isn't in the bank. So we are built 100% reserved, in that you can see our obligations are held equal to what our members and users hold. So there's never a question of, if we hold gold, if you're holding gold in your wallet right now, we physically have gold.
Yeah, that's really
in
unique.
In a strategic off-site location that is undisclosed.
Yeah, no, that is really unique within Uphold, because yes, you got silver, gold. So when I've up until very recently, which we can talk about next, because I'm from the UK, but when I was selling my block rewards on Uphold, I was switching them up to euros because I use something called like a Revolut card, so then I can send the euros to that card to
I've
spend.
heard of this card.
Yeah, it's very, very popular, and Uphold makes things very, very easy. But when it comes to, we've been talking about the stability, especially with the diff, when it comes to the volatility of Dash, and the importance of the golden rule, diversification, right? Especially in volatile markets, and having like not just fiat currencies, dollars, euros, pounds. It's really important to see that gold and silver, but very recent addition. Well, I don't think it's new to Uphold, but that the gold that you have that you can switch to, that's, as you say, it's actually backed by physical, but you also have a service called MyCred, right? So then you can actually essentially stake that gold and earn interest as well, which is, I guess, do you call that like a product or a service? Because it's a partner, right?
So it's a partner, just like we're partners with Dash. Dan Schatt, who's the co-founder and CEO, he founded Cred, and essentially they have a suite of services. One of the most popular is obviously the staking. And the benefit of it is the crypto market's volatile. A lot of people use it for staking. They're in it for the long haul. They're hodling, right? So they don't want to sell, but there's a moment where they might need liquidity, or this currency is sitting there and the market fluctuates. So sometimes there are gains and losses, but that means you have to get in and get out and buy and sell and buy and sell. Or there's Cred, where you stake your funds. They just switch to monthly payouts and you're earning a return, just like you do with a traditional financial service now. They offer it across a number of different currencies. I don't know the latest count. But even so, in euros or in countries where there is possibly even a negative interest rate, they're offering returns. So if you're holding euros, you can earn, I believe the last rate was 8 to 10%, which is kind of amazing considering what the traditional market is doing. And it's same with crypto. I believe there's some conversations and hopefully an announcement coming soon with Dash and MyCred and Uphold. So that's exciting. But some of our most popular features, and what I encourage people to do, is obviously not giving financial advice, but if you're in it for the long haul, why not look at crypto or anything else you're holding in our wallet as an investment? And if you want to, and there are these services, take a look at them and see what they offer, and obviously make informed decisions. But if you can earn a return and you don't have to sell it, which I think is the key thing that people don't want to do, you still are in whatever asset you're holding. You're just putting it somewhere and earning a return on it. Yes, and now they're paying out every month. So
I mean, staking is the new buzzword. Everyone's looking to earn, and I think obviously a lot of exchanges are getting on board utilizing this. But one of the really unique things, and I can confirm conversations happening behind the scenes with Dash and MyCred. Nothing to announce yet, but one thing that Dash, the community, will like to hear and rejoice about is that MyCred is insured, and it uses as a custodian BitGo, and we have other partners that utilize BitGo as well. So this is something that I'm very excited about. And in addition, like, as I said, I'm from the UK, and although I've been selling my Dash for euros, now I don't necessarily have to do that anymore, because last week Uphold made an announcement. Would you like to
Yes.
talk about that?
So we are so excited. Our team has been working literally around the clock for longer than we wanted to bring bank connectivity to the UK. So yes, it's in beta this week. It will be going live next week. We also have connectivity now in Canada as well that will be going live next week. So two huge markets where we have substantial user base already, and those have been through the crypto on and offboarding. We've been working to bring traditional legacy banking rails. They're coming, and yes, you will no longer have to switch to euros, and it'll just be a simple tap tap and you're done. And there's other solutions coming, so you possibly won't have to have that other debit card you mentioned.
Yeah, this is one of the things I've always been advocating for people to use Uphold, because first, it's just the rates specifically for Dash are good. The rates are good, especially after the withdrawal fee got waived.
Yep.
It's in the wallet and it works quick, and it's like one of those like instant conversion type things where you could just instantly lock stuff in, and the problem is sometimes I've been talking to people from other countries. They say, "Oh, great. Well, what can I use?" And I just say, "Well, Uphold's the best thing." And then they're like, "Well, it's supported in my country, but only for like USD, and not everyone has a USD account in this." So, and it's always been, and especially like for the folks right across the pond in the UK and in Canada, that are just like, they're always like putting up a figure. Oh, well, it doesn't work for me. But so this is definitely great news and can definitely help out a whole lot.
Well, and we also, 2020 is, I'm kind of already exhausted, and we're still in January, knowing what we have coming. A big focus, and kind of just segueing into the next kind of point of conversation, Latin America is a big focus for us. And we have some connectivity and partnership announcements that will roll out, hopefully, if we can stay on track, April, that will open up a number of countries, easing access and really making it that conversation where people go, okay, it's great, but then how do I use it? Or what do I do? Or it's wonderful to escape volatility, but I want to run to Burger King or wherever else. And Dash, you guys are solving that problem through all your relationships. We're really taking it a step further, and we'll have direct connectivity in a number of Latin America countries.
Yeah. So can you, what are the fees associated with transfers to and from like Uphold users? Are there anything special like internal in the system?
No. So if I send you $100 worth of Dash, you get $100 worth of Dash. It's instant. It's free. There's no fees within. Or you can send it to someone who doesn't have an account. If you have a friend and you're talking and they want to know how to get started, or they're unsure, send them a few bucks just with their email. They get it. They can get started in under, I think, 5 minutes. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so this is a use case, of course, I'm thinking of, because I always look at that 1.25% fee. What if, let's just say, one of those Latin American countries happened to be Mexico, and what if it supported the Mexican peso, and what if you could just send someone can just use Dash, so buy Dash, send it, and 1.25% each way. If they have to buy it on the US or the Canada side, let's just say, then combined, that's only like a 2.5% fee. It's not that bad. That's a good remittance use case.
Well, that, and there's another way. So a lot of our users, especially in Venezuela, you guys, it's a huge market for you. It's a huge market for us. A lot of them are gig economy. So they're writers, they're graphic designers. They are getting paid from all over the world using features like Upwork or themselves, however they're doing it. And what I see a lot and speak to a lot in different meetups and things that I'm having virtually now, they set a base currency. So let's say they have someone in the UK that's paying them, someone in the US, and someone in Japan. Instead of getting 3 different currencies, having to do the conversions, or getting paid in their local currency, which they don't want to touch, They can set a base currency, and it could be Dash, because then Dash has so many partners that they can use in Venezuela and spend locally. So they can set an auto conversion. Everything converts immediately to Dash if they want it to, or USD. And it's not having to constantly move back and forth between as they want to use it. It can be held in a more stable currency. It's really kind of a set it and forget it. And it's a better use case. And it's something that we haven't done a good enough job of letting people know that it's a feature that they can do.
How many users does Uphold have now? And in addition to that, how important is Dash on Uphold? Is it getting a lot of traction?
So globally, we're right around 1.7, 1.8 million users. We're growing at a pretty breakneck pace every day. It's been wonderful, but it's also, our team is always going like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. In Latin America, it's one of our biggest markets. Last numbers I checked were just under 7, 8, 900,000 across Latin America. Venezuela is our biggest kind of localized cohort there, but then that's expanding kind of every day as we work more, because it's a big part of word of mouth and getting to know communities and brand and trust, that we are working harder, and I'm working with local partners there to help me expand and really help people educate and understand what Uphold is. Because if it's this digital product and it's cryptocurrency and it's from the United States, but what is it and how does it work? There's a little bit of skepticism and a hop that needs to be made, where I can tell everyone all day sitting at a desk in California, but if someone's locally having meetups and taking them through and showing them how to use it, that's really what resonates and what I'm passionate about, but also want to make sure that we're doing to help educate our users.
Well, so Venezuela is obviously a key market for you, and of course the Dash as well. So we're very in sync. But as you're like in charge of marketing, what kind of outreach is Uphold doing to that market? Is this all organic, or are you actively going out? Because I think we may be able to learn lessons and share ideas on this.
Sure. So it's a tricky situation, right? Because there is also the wonderful world of regulations and what you can do, and the idea of who you can market to. And every country is different. And some countries are constantly changing their legislation and rules. So it's kind of like a jumping game, where I always am checking with legal before I can do things, because it changed last week and it could change tomorrow. A lot of it is word of mouth, which is where I go back to community and what we do on social, and making sure that we listen to these audiences and trying to find partners and advocates and brand ambassadors locally. College and community meetups are huge for me, and part of something that I'm launching this year, where we'll have a referral program for people and different college campuses, where there will be a brand ambassador who can go and set up a meetup and have beer and pizza or wine or whatever they want to do, go through, explain what it is, and kind of help that organic growth, because not every region can be marketed to, unfortunately.
Excellent. Well, I do think there are a lot of lessons to be learned. Can we talk a bit about Dash's special relationship with Uphold?
Sure.
I don't know if there's been any contract signed behind the scenes, but obviously our Dash Core Group business development team is very close with Uphold. And of course, even with the official Dash wallet app on iOS and Android, it has the Uphold functionality built in. So you can actually purchase Dash via the app. And you're the only exchange that we support in our official app. So we have a very special relationship. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, we've been working together for, it's literally years now. And Robin, our CRO, and Ryan have conversations. And it's been since the very early days of, I think, kind of both companies, that we've been working together to grow and evolve as the offering and needs and use cases evolve and iterate. We work closely with you guys for a number of different reasons. As you said, we're built into your wallet. We also have other partners with Dash, like the Crypt Mobile and a few other things, where I think it's more we help each other and work to kind of solve different problems, where we can help with connectivity for Dash holders in different currencies and just make it a little bit easier for diversifying, as we all know, is important in different use cases, as well as expanding access and reach through our global network, because we have users, I think the last count was 150 some countries. So working to kind of leverage both. And then you guys have wonderful communities that have grown. So like, it's so impressive to me to watch the different regional communities that Dash has that are so passionate and so supportive. And I just sit there going, I need to make a list and make time and reach out to each one of these kind of community leaders and really build relationships, because it's only it makes sense for us to work together in each of those regions. So I think it's really it's more than a partnership. It's I think it is, and I really love working with your team, and Ernesto specifically has always been really helpful. So I think there's so much more that we can do, and I think there's a few things that we're doing that I've kind of overheard conversations happening, but I can't really talk to that. So it's going to be a big year. We can just put that there.
How would you say Uphold is different to other exchanges? Because you're not your typical crypto exchange, because the typical crypto exchange, you sign up and then you've got your dedicated area for your wallets, but it's like all order books, right? Yep. Buy and sell orders.
It's so intimidating.
It's not like that. You get bored, and you can add the different cards for different currencies. Yep. I mean, I've not seen another exchange like that. So what do you think makes Uphold different to other exchanges? What's your secret sauce?
Sure. So we consider ourselves a wallet or a platform, not an exchange, because the whole idea of being a maker taker or having to put a buy sell order is really intimidating for a lot of people. And we really want to make crypto mainstream and make it accessible for everyone. So where you take the technicality of the exchange and what you need to do and just making it everyday understandable and digestible, and not that intimidating logging in, having a crazy 2FA that you have to do, and then you have to remember your keys and do it's all of these things that, while they're necessary on the back end of crypto, day-to-day consumers don't need to see it. And I think it's a little bit too intimidating, and a general consumer use case or aren't going to go through those hurdles. They're just going to go pull out their wallet, use their, US dollars, whatever, their debit card, and just be done with it.
Yeah.
Or they're going to go buy a crypto because it's the hot thing to buy at the moment, forget how to log into their exchange. Like we've seen some people on Twitter talking about in the last few days, someone lost their password.
Yeah, well, apparently he's recovered it now. I saw a tweet earlier, and it wasn't the password; it was the PIN that he's forgot. PIN. So he's updated the app. He's used his PIN, and Peter Schiff has managed to recover his funds. Alleluia! So he didn't lose his funds.
I was watching and going, "This is the best marketing ploy ever," because the boomer aspect of it.
Yes.
He's getting a lot of people weighing in. I think it might have been just the most genius thing that I've seen done in a while. So kudos. If you really didn't do it, well done. But I don't know. So
it was a great kind of showing of the divide between the crypto users and non-crypto users for both ways. The first of people that just don't believe this has any value because it's just not the way I did it back in the day. Mm-hmm. But at the other hand, if someone who runs large successful businesses, who's a sharp cookie by a lot of estimations, just loses stuff and can't figure it out, it's like, we need to figure out the usability of this stuff before we get anyone to actually use it. And I do remember a friend of mine who I've set up with Dash wallets. I've set her up 3 separate times. And at some point, I've just had copies of her backup stuff. I've acted as like a custodian. It's only for $30 worth at a time. It's nothing big, right? But just because, I'm like, one time the dog literally ate the recovery seed. And I'm like... oh no, this has to be better. We have to figure this out.
So I think, to go back to your question, one of our focus is always, how do we democratize access? And it's not just to crypto. So how do we give our users in Venezuela or Latin America or other regions that the financial system has just left them behind. How do we make a level playing field, and how do we make crypto accessible? Because crypto solves a lot of problems that traditional currency just doesn't. I had to do a transaction recently, and we had to send a wire, and I was literally going berserk behind the scenes going, this is so old and so antiquated and so just ridiculous. You have to pay money to your bank, then wait and for days for a wire to find. You can't see it. There's no transparency. Then the other end gets it, and you have to confirm that the other end got it. And it was.
Oh, have we lost Michelle?
Well, it appears to be a little bit frozen for the moment, but.
Yep, I'm back. I hope
you're back.
Freeze in one of those horrible,
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, happy to have you back. I do have one question about the onboarding process. So we talked about Uphold, the focus on user friendliness, user experience, and admittedly myself, talking from my own personal experience, I mainly used Uphold in the browser. However, I think a month or so ago, I was prompted to download the application because Uphold has a mobile app.
Yep.
And in terms of submitting documents, because you have to do KYC, right? I did the manual process back in the day because I've been an Uphold user for a while now. And I had no problems with that. But I'd noticed in the mobile app that you can still do it the manual way via Uphold, but you also have another service now where you can kind of speed up the process.
Yep.
I forget the name of what that's called, but it kind of, can you just explain what that is and why Uphold took that path? Because you're using like another service to validate users.
Right. So we're constantly working to improve our onboarding process because that's the most important, right? Because if you had a negative experience, and if it takes more than a few minutes, you're out. There's too much competition. And if we don't make it best and fastest and easiest, you're going to go somewhere else. So we're constantly working to iterate and improve and really explain why you have to go through KYC. Because a lot of people complain, I don't want to give you my information. You don't need access to all of this. But at the same time, we're regulated. So we provide a level of security that some of the exchanges and some of the kind of outliers don't. So it's kind of a catch-22. We are still working to improve that sign-up process. And next week, we have a new improved version of what you saw for that sign-up process that will be even faster, even better. So I can't go into any more kind of about that. But for those who don't have the mobile app, download it next week, and it will be even better. And it's really, it's always going to be a work in progress. And we're always going to be iterating and improving and expanding and taking feedback. We like to hear from our users, things they like, things they don't like. We usually hear don't likes a lot more than likes, but would like to bounce it out a little bit more if possible.
Excellent. Well, as you are the VP of communications and community, we've got to take this opportunity to talk to you about marketing and branding. I noticed that when it comes to marketing Uphold, you're very specific with your branding. When you have updates, you do your own specific artwork. You've got your own style. What lessons have you learned along the way? What not to do and what to do? I'm curious because in the crypto space, especially Uphold, you're catering to a crypto audience, but you're trying to onboard people as well. So what's your experience been like?
So it's interesting because there's all these different audiences within crypto. There are the people who came in kind of 2017, 2018, who thought they're going to all get Lambos and everything's going to be huge and mansions for everybody. And that was kind of a learning experience for a lot of consumers, but it was also a learning experience for us that we really have to take a responsibility to keep encouraging people to make educated decisions and informed decisions, and not follow the Twitter bandwagon, or what people are, there's an investor online who's saying, do this, buy this, but what is their motivation, and do they have a referral code? And it's really, I come from a place of informed decisions and trying to make sure that there's empathy and thought process behind anything that someone's doing. So if it's how we are educating our users about a new product, or how to address a change in the UX, it's always trying to think about how will this impact them, because we're holding their money. We have value. If it's $5, $500, or $5,000, or even more than that, it's money, and it's important, and I believe that we need to make them feel secure. They should know that we're human, because we don't have a brick and mortar location like traditional banks. So it's kind of this pivot between making sure that they know there's a consistent message, making sure that they know they can trust, making sure if they reach out and have questions or issues, it gets addressed quickly. Those are kind of the 3 points that we always work on. And then marketing, it's again, always evolving. We have kind of, as a brand, because the world of cryptocurrency is evolving, and there's mainstream bridging continually going on, there's always a necessary kind of, how do we evolve and how do we grow as a brand and not stay too stuck to 3 to 5 years ago, but not completely lose who we are and our ethos and our brand and everything that people have come to expect. So it's a constant kind of ebb and flow. And it's funny, because we are internally looking at how do we kind of tweak and grow for 2020, and what are our plans, and video and YouTube and things like that are really a focus for me in 2020, and learning how to do that. So you guys have been one of the use cases that I put forward of, they're doing it well, they're consistent, they deliver, the content's appreciated, it brings value. So kudos to you guys, because having that and having that audience and the consistency is really important.
Well, I don't know if you had this discussion behind the scenes. I've not been made privy to it, but obviously we have this special partnership, and we're both looking to onboard users and grow. Yep. And our key target areas of interest is the same demographic, same target audience.
Right.
And I don't know if Uphold has had any discussions with the DIF, Dash Investment Foundation, mm-hmm. or even if Uphold is open to investment or willing to give exchange private equity. But as we've got like this special relationship with Uphold in the wallet, I've seen Uphold grow its user base over the last few years. And it's just like, we've kind of grown together, and I really wish Dash had some way to link up with you, or get a slice of the pie so we can grow together, right? And also to incentivize our user base to support you, so we grow together and we work together as a team, because we have the same common interests to spread mass adoption. I don't know, is this something that Uphold's open to? Do they have investment rounds, or do you think there could be a possibility to have conversations with the DIF in the future?
I mean, we're always open. Like, the conversation like that would obviously make sense, and I'd be surprised if it's not already or hasn't already happened. I think from my side, for marketing, I work to try and find time in my day to ensure that we're carving out time for each of our partners to help re-engage and educate and say, hey, how are we doing and how can we do it better? So that's something that we have our account managers and have kind of bi-weekly calls to say, what are we doing with Dash? What can we do better with Dash? What are we looking at? Where are we launching? Who are their audiences? Who can we talk to? This media opportunity came up. How can we loop Dash in? And vice versa. You guys have always been great when there's interviews or opportunity to kind of reciprocate. So I would love if we did carve out time in an ever busy world to say how we work together and help each other, but also help expand what our offering is and really evolve that to users and people in different regions, especially kind of, we all know Latin America is where we're both so popular and busy, and you guys have some amazing relationships you've announced recently. So
I agree. Our goals are aligned. We have the same mission objective in a lot of ways, and it's almost frustration for me because I've seen you guys grow, onboard new users, and I almost feel like it's a missed opportunity because I've seen you guys being very successful. You continue to grow, onboard new users, and I just wish we utilized the treasury at some point to do that, but I don't know if that option would have been there. But I still think conversations can be had, and I hope we can move forward in that way. I want to talk about customer service and support, because when it comes to using services, there is an element of trust. And you mentioned customer support before, or being at least available in terms of a community sense. What do you have, and how beneficial has that been? You know, live chat support, or help desk support. What can we learn from you? What's been good, and has it been beneficial?
So we have an amazing support team. They're global across the world, so we can cover our different time zones for our users. We have live chat that's available. I believe it was 24/7. I'm not 100% sure if it's still that, but we also have our Twitter is very busy with support issues as well, and we're happy to support that because that's kind of one of our popular channels. Our social media coordinator is constantly working with our support team to escalate issues, make sure issues are handled, to proactively share updates if a service is down, if something's happening. We're really proactive and reactive, conversely, to make sure that if someone messaged us and say, hey, I'm locked out of my account, or my 2FA isn't working, or I have a new phone, we make sure that that's handled. Same if there's an issue of fraud or compliance or whatever it is, it's escalated and handled. And I mean, our team handles thousands of tickets a day and really turns them around. And I think on a whole, the rating out of 5 is like 4.2 or 4.3 on Trustpilot right now, which is an unbiased, organic site people can go and just write reviews. And we base ourselves kind of that, and then the internal performance rating of how things are handled. So we take customer support very seriously and continue to say, how can we improve? Just like kind of the message across everything. Always, how do we improve? How do we do better? What's the new? What should we add? What should we take away that's not working anymore? Where are we winning and really doing well? And then where can we kind of turn it up a little bit? And I think one of the turning it up a little bit is we're rolling out in our FAQs more videos and explainers, and just trying to make it easier as well. And then also having reviews of what are the popular issues, how do we address them, and just kind of how do we solve people's problems.
Okay, well, there's one question that I'm dying to ask you. So Dash is going to be launching version 1.0 at some point in the near future. And with that, we'll be launching the Dash Pay functionality within the Dash Pay wallets. And with these Dash Pay usernames, we hope to make it easier, also focusing on user friendliness and user experience on onboarding new users. So what I'm interested to know is, what has been the most successful campaign or social media platform in your 4 years at Uphold that has been the most successful at onboarding users? How can we learn from you to help us to learn to utilize that to help onboard users with the new Dash Pay platform? So what's been the most successful campaign that you've done, whether it could be like Twitter? What can we learn?
So it's interesting because the rules just changed in the last few months. I would say Twitter, hands down. They now, and I'm not exactly sure it was in the last few months, have restricted what you can advertise. So crypto is now, they won't let you advertise. So previous to that, I would have said Twitter, hands down. I look at it as a multi kind of approach that I would do. And what we have done that works well is working with YouTube relationships and friendly. It's just like with you guys. I have relationships that I've built through partners or just being in the industry for a while, where we are always talking about what's happening, not just with Uphold, not with anything else, but having conversations and going to meetups and seeing what people are doing, and then taking it back and setting a campaign. So surprisingly, YouTube is our biggest driver of traffic outside of Twitter. So YouTube, and that's mainly because there are a lot of how to use Uphold videos that are out there that people are creating and using. So it's kind of looking at that, and then separately referral programs, referral incentives, hands down. We don't have one now. We get asked for it all the time. People complain about it. Having some sort of referral program and word of mouth, and then also tapping your partners. Anything you guys are doing, we obviously support because you have always been wonderful and supportive of us. So keeping that relationship going, because if you look at our network, we then have other partners and everyone kind of works together and we have that ecosystem. So
I think that makes total sense.
That's as much of my secret sauce as I'm giving away. Anything else we can talk about offline, because I can't tell everything or else.
Yeah. Regarding the whole referral thing, that does remind me of, first off, I remember back in the earlier days of Bitcoin of like 2013, 2014, when I was one of those crazy people who's living all off of Bitcoin and no bank account and just like running and telling everyone about it, trying to set up businesses.
Yeah.
And eventually you run out of goodwill, you run out of energy and steam. And imagine like being able to actually get paid to refer people to use it. And of course, you know, signing people up with things like BitPay or things like, oh, you just start using this thing. And one of the things I noticed is the bigger problem with a lot of referral codes is that they're one way. People spam their Binance referral code or whatever it is. That's kind of a meme in the crypto world these days.
Right.
People spam out their referral code that profits them, but the person does not get a profit from using their referral code. They just go straight to the site. But so go on.
No, I think that's one of the biggest problems in the scope of our program. That will be live when it'll be live, and it'll be reciprocal. So 1 for 1. So if you send and you send, you each get something, and that's incentivized. So the sender obviously is incented to send more because they get more, but then the recipient gets something as well, and then the recipient has the opportunity to then send and invite and keep building. So it kind of creates a growth effect versus just, because I don't want the spam. I see it all the time. I don't really care if you get $10 because I don't get anything. So what's it going to do for me? That's a problem. And like you said, it just doesn't work. And yeah, Twitter's full of those doing this, or I'm giving this away, or whatever it is. And there's a 0 out of 0.000% chance to do it and win. So I think it should be just like everything else we do, more transparent, more incentivized, more what's the reason they would use it, and how is it going to make them adopt and stay? Because I don't want someone to just go through the KYC and then go away. We want them to stay with us.
So it's almost an education standpoint. And I do agree with you about having that multi-pronged approach. I do think having a referral way for people to be, for friends and family to help onboard people. We've seen Facebook do this in the past, PayPal, we need to learn from that. But then also as well, as you say, tapping into your partners and into their network, their people, and building extra added value, and then opening yourselves up. And I think that's really, really important. And then of course, as you say, being able to cater to different languages and actually really understanding your audience and honing in target audience that specifically are more in need of your service. And as we've pointed out earlier, Latin America. So we share many similar objectives on that front. Someone in the live chat commented influencers. I mean, obviously they play a role. I don't know how involved Uphold's been with that in the past. You mentioned there's a YouTube video. Is there someone on Uphold that does a lot of video interviews and podcasts? I know we mentioned the CEO earlier, but do you get out there a lot to speak at events and podcasts, YouTube? We being Uphold are so busy that basically our public facing selves have been kind of more few and far between, because we're so focused on growing and evolving and iterating that literally taking time to go speak on a panel or doing what we're doing right now has been kind of second priority, because we want product first.
2020 is part of, okay, let's change that a little bit. JP's done he did NASDAQ earlier this week or late last week. He did a great interview. He's speaking more. A few of our other team members, I have more speaking opportunities. So we definitely are working to be more public, because it's kind of like we're all behind the scenes so much for people to see us. We realize how much that resonates with people. So we need to do a better job of it, 100%. To work with influencers in this space, there are some wonderful influencers. We have relationships with some. I have cultivated them. My only problem with that is kind of the same time crypto exploded, the idea of an influencer exploded, and people were taking money to promote anything and everything without doing their own due diligence or looking at projects specifically. That's kind of obviously shaken off, because some of that market has shaken off, but I still really consider, before reaching out and working with influencers, who are they? What have they said in the past? Who are their audience? Kind of what are their core values, and do they align with us? Because they might have a huge audience with amazing followers, but are they who we speak and what we say, and do they kind of believe the same things? And does it work with our partners and our bigger network? Because really taking time to not just say, oh my God, you have 1 million followers, here's a ton of money and go promote my product. Some of our peer group does that. And I can't say that it's good or bad. It's not what we work towards. And it's the same with advertising or big campaigns. We could throw money at a bus or a billboard or something like that. But at the end of the day, is that money better spent doing something locally with a meetup or meetups or college? So I kind of approach and look at things as there's a better way to kind of strategically spend money and grow, and really ensure that you're getting the users and the base that you want, and avoiding attrition and being strategic in that. So influencers are great. We work with them, but it's always really strategically to make sure that we're aligned, because otherwise you get a lot of people who come to your site, they have been sold X, they get Y, they're not happy. So it's kind of, I've seen it go both ways.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm really pleased that you mentioned that. Because working with influencers, it can be very dangerous, as we've seen recently as well. Because reputation and credibility is everything in this space. Mm-hmm. But in terms of promotions as well, I agree with you. It's important to encourage return traffic, not just short-term gains, right? You want to establish a relationship and long-term use and customer base. So how successful have your promo campaigns been in the past? Because I've noticed you've had incentive promo campaigns before, so where perhaps you reduce trade-in fees. Does that get a lot of traction? Does that work?
It does. So what's interesting is we've done a few different ones. So we've done a couple with Dash in the past, where for a window of time we've reduced fees or waived fees, or before we completely removed the withdrawal fee, that would have been waived. And those are great to drive bumps in traffic and revenue, or to get new users on. I think the problem then comes if it's kind of like with general consumers now, they're then conditioned to expect that cost. So if you get something for free, you always want it for free. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So then how do you backtrack? And then the next day they go to buy something and then there's a fee, and then they're frustrated because they bought it the day before and they didn't have one. So it's always kind of, we're still always figuring out how to do it. I think one of the best campaigns that we've run is there was a pretty substantial amount of money offered through landing page signups for interest in new products. So it was kind of a social escalation. So it was a little bit reward, kind of trying to be influencer, taking the social media clout score into play, where you would sign up to a landing page and you get the referral code. But instead of getting small, $5 incentives or something like that, you climbed the ladder board, the more you referred. So you're incentivized to really get out there and tell your network, this is what's happening. And then we could track and see how much it went up. And then from there, the leaders got a substantial payout at the end because they had brought in users who had gone through the process, sign up, verified, and actually used Uphold. Because that's the other thing is you don't want to get gamed, like you said. You don't want the one-off. Definitely don't want bots. So you have to figure out, how do you make sure that you're not being gamed? But how do you also make sure that it's not someone who's like, here's an opportunity to make $10,000. I'm going to do it and then see you later on to the next.
Well, that's exactly it. It's the influencer boom is just a result of lowering the barrier to entry and becoming one of those people. And then that means that there's tons of, the good thing it means is it's a merit-based system where anyone can go in and it's up to you to crawl your way to the top. But on the other hand, it's flooded a lot of low quality, or at least, possibly not calling human beings low quality necessarily, but it's in from the standpoint of a company or brand, not exactly what they're looking for, not what they want to be associated with, just posting some, random things online as well that might be shocking to people. And then being like, oh, by the way, Uphold, let me tattoo Uphold on myself and then just like run around with no, that's not probably the best thing. It's probably doing more damage,
So what's interesting is kind of to go on that for a second. So the flip side of that is people always think they're more popular than they are, kind of, right? And we have...
Well, at least the influencer types do, yes.
Yeah. And if they don't get what they want when they want it sometimes, or if they think that they deserve more, or the downside of crypto is there are some audiences that are very passionate and very motivated and can get very upset very quickly. And the concept of influencers, there's no traditional media responsibility. Like a traditional reporter can't kind of go out and just put stuff out there that's completely unbiased or false. Whereas these influencers or some of the contributor pages, they can just go write whatever they want. It pops online and then it's spreading viral before you can open your app in the morning. So I think there's a responsibility to that, and it thankfully shook out a little bit, but it's also it's kind of crazy to see what happens sometimes.
Yeah, one thing about Uphold, I know we mentioned MyCred earlier, and I like how you describe Uphold more as a platform, as an exchange, because another unique thing about Uphold is you have this thing called the App Center, where you actually give the users of Uphold the freedom of choice on a number of partners. Absolutely. So you've got, I'm just looking at a few now. So you've got Salt Lending, Cred Earn, I think we spoke about them earlier, Celsius Network, Hedge Bitcoin, TaxBit, Coinly, Utrust, Bitmari, GiveTrack. You've got loads on there, unstoppable domains. So clearly, Uphold wants to build an ecosystem working in line with 100%. Other partners, where you see other rivals where they just kind of want to do kind of a land grab and everyone's trying to compete doing the same things, where Uphold's trying to find people that really specialize in that certain element and just saying, well, what extra value can we add to our customers? And rather than reinvent the wheel, let's work together and create a partnership. Totally. Is that how that works? And I'm guessing
that's 100%.
And I'm assuming there's probably going to be more partners in the App Center in the near future.
It literally is a problem of time. It's a problem of our developers and our team having time to meet the demand that we have, because we have an API. So the partners, just like you guys did with the wallet, you go and build on the API and then you're in, and it's kind of that easy. Of course, you go through due diligence and all that. So it's not, I'm just saying, boom, API, you're out, you hit the road. But we're always looking at how do we build and bring value. TaxBit, they are one of our partners. They just had a round of funding. They're great guys, and they're working to solve the problem of cryptocurrency taxes. First in US, they're expanding with their round of funding too. They're coming to the UK, they're going to Australia, and I think Canada. But that's a natural relationship for us because we offer a service that then will require tax reporting. So working with someone like TaxBit, there you go. It's solving a problem. It's making it easy. Our users will know that they've gone through a level of due diligence and they're not just anyone out there throwing a Google ad at them, that they can trust them because our team has said, hey, we have gone through this. We've qualified them. We've partnered with them. We believe in them. So make your own decision, but here's a spot to start at.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're fast approaching the 1 hour mark. So before we wrap up, I just want to reiterate. So you said on Monday there's going to be some kind of announcement that involves the mobile app and the browser platform itself.
Since we've been talking, it's on Tuesday.
It's on Tuesday. Okay,
yeah.
So
I just looked at my Slack. So Tuesday.
So essentially, if people want to see what that announcement is, and unfortunately we can't talk about it now because you know it's all hush hush and press releases I'm assuming have to get written up, etc., and blog posts. So if people want to find out about that, I'm guessing they're going to have to follow you on social media or the blog post. So what is the Uphold social media? Where can they go and learn about this on Tuesday?
Sure. So our Twitter handle is the most active. It's at Uphold Inc. I link to it in my Twitter. If you go to me, I'm at MQ2OCO. You can also, if you go to our website, all of our social media handles, scroll to the bottom, everything's linked there. I also just caution, I always do this, if a handle isn't ours, if it was recently started, if they're sharing content that doesn't make sense, it's not us, don't follow them. We won't ask for your content, your login information. That happens a lot, unfortunately, especially with Twitter. So just always exercise caution. If it doesn't seem like us, it's probably not.
Excellent. Okay, Michelle, is there anything else, Michelle, like that you want to plug or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here. My handle, I will be linked somewhere. If anyone has questions, concerns, features they want, anything, I'm listening. I'm on our Twitter. I'm on my Twitter. I work with our social coordinator. Our entire company watches us. So if you have things you want to see, questions you have, problems you have, reach out to me, reach out to our handle, reach out to our support. We really love our community and want to hear more from you guys.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Michelle. You've been an absolute star. And yes, Dash community, if you have any questions or suggestions for Uphold, whether it's just feedback or new services that you'd like to see, please feel free to get in touch with Michelle. She's fantastic. And yeah, I look forward to the announcement on Tuesday. Okay, Joel, would you like to take us out?
Yes, if you enjoyed any of this or didn't, but anticipate future podcasts, well, again, I'm sure you did, right? Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All 4 of those things, please. And the full, this post will be put out and a recap post on Saturday. So if you missed it live and you missed just watching the video, you need to be reminded that this wondrous event took place. It'll be there. And now it's time for a little thing called the after party, where we basically carry on like this, but in a much more casual and non-recorded environment for as many participants as you'd like, for as late as you'd like. Just kind of hang out and have like a social after talk. Could be just socially talking about anything you want. It also could be a continuation of a lot of the work-related stuff. A lot of very interesting brainstorming ideas has come out of that. So make sure you attend that. The way you do that is you go to the Dash Talk Discord or staydashy.com and then just start asking around, where is this after party? And can I get in the after party? And if no one answers you, then you can probably tag myself or Mark. And
excellent.
We'll get you in.
Thank you very much, Joel. Well, that was episode 139 of the Dash podcast. Thank you to Michelle. I really hope you found this to be informative. Please press that like button, share and subscribe, smash the Dash, and I hope you'll have a fantastic weekend. I hope to see some of you in the after party. Stay positive, stay humble, but most importantly, stay dashy. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye, everyone.